the sessions that we've done this year and in the past years. Next slide, please. Just what to expect in this session where we'll be talking about product market fit. Next slide, Timmy. Okay, I will just talk through it. Okay, what to expect in the session, we would be talking to Sonia of BuuPass and Opeyemi of Fast Forward, moderated by our very own Nubi Kay. For those of you who don't know them, you can just go and check them out. We've posted a little bit about our speakers on our LinkedIn, on all our socials as well. You can just go ahead and check them out. And afterwards, we will just run through our updates for those of you who are HoaQ members. Before we dive in, for those of you who don't know, again, I'm really keeping everybody up to date. HoaQ, please, next slide. Yes, thank you so much. HoaQ is a community of creators and operators that are backing businesses building for Africa and its diaspora. Our mission at HoaQ is to support founders who are leveraging technology to build economic infrastructure for Africans and for Africa and for Africans. Just a little bit of background: we started HoaQ in 2020, and since then we've deployed over $3.7 million in about 120 startups, and we currently have over 800 angel investors across the continent in our community that are still actively deploying funds in Africa. So far, we've had 12 exits and we've invested across 12 countries. If you would like to learn more about HoaQ, you can just go to our website, hoaq.co, or our socials as well, just to learn more about what we do and how we work here at HoaQ. With that being said, I'll pass it on now to my colleague, Nubi, who would be leading this session where we'll be talking about product market fit, and he would be talking to Sonia and Opeyemi. Fun fact, we actually invested in BuuPass, so Sonia is one of our portfolio founders, so it's great to have you guys here today. Over to you, Nubi. You're muted, Nubi, if you're speaking.
Oh, sorry, I was waiting for it. I was like, why
No
why
worries.
nobody speak? Oh yeah, I've lost everyone now.
Okay, so we'll just give it, I think it's dropped off now, so just give him like a minute to join back and it will.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my internet. Okay, I just switched over to the downstairs router. Hi everyone, welcome to our staple. It's like I said, we do this every last Thursday of the month, and you can go watch back the previous episodes. But I'm so excited about this one because I've got two very interesting people who I know are builders. So it's not about like theory. This is like hands on deck, doing the work, building companies, building businesses, building teams in different capacities and in different spaces as well, and geographies. So I'm excited to see all of that richness and perspective in this conversation. So again, our first speaker, we have Awoyemi. He's perhaps what I would call the Johnny Baptists of the Nigerian ecosystem, who that went to chart a course rather than walk already paved paths, building pretty much on Internet 1.0, Jobberman, with his co-founders and exiting that business. He has also again built other ventures like Google Host as well, exited, and now running Fast Forward Ventures, and also again, I guess he's not cracked the itch of building, and so he's also building .cv as well. So if you've not, very not shameful plug. If you don't have your .cv, just go get it now already. I mean, I think I bought like 10 or 20 .cv domains last year, from paddle.cv to jesus.cv to my name and my wife's and my kids' name. I bought it both for my kids already. They are .cv. So if you've not gotten yours, yeah, you're sleeping on that. Great to have you, Ope. Thanks for dialing in. I think next slide we'll have Sonia. Sonia is the founder of BuuPass. BuuPass is building in a very hard space. Like, this is not just like, oh, here's an app, here you go. There's the app, there's the boss, there's the people, there's the operators, there's like customers, there are partners, there's financial partners. It's really like an ecosystem of products and things and people and processes. And she's trying to, again, bring some order to that chaos. But very critical, because, again, movement of people and services, as we know, is really the bedrock of any, like, again, commerce or of trade. And she's exactly like gone to be expert with this. We're very, very lucky to have invested in BuuPass. But in 2024, they actually acquired QuickBus in South Africa and Nigeria as well, to widen their footprints into more markets. And so thank you, Sonia, for joining. I know you're very, very busy, but really appreciate you guys taking the time to jump on calls with us today. All right, let's jump into it. Maybe I'll start with a very, very and we can take the screen down so we see that we see our faces. Thank you. So we can stop sharing screen. Maybe we'll start with a very, very light mode or lightweight question for you guys. And I did not put this on the talking points. Going to just again have this fresh. What is the last amazing product you've used, African and non-African, aside from what you've built in? So don't think about what you've built or what you've supported, but like the best, like, delightful product in the most recent time that you've actually used. And it could be very popular, like a Spotify app, or it could be very, very niche, like, I don't know, something that we don't know. But yeah, curious. Okay, you want to go for it? What's your most recent delightful product you've actually used?
Yeah, thanks so much, Nubi. I'm going to be a bit contrarian about this, and I would say is a product that a basketball coach in the community, whom I never expected to tell him about technology, introduced to me. Can bet nobody here has heard of that product, but definitely a product in the tens of millions of dollars of revenue. It's an AI product. It's called AI Easy Genius. So,
okay. And what was delightful about it for
story.
You?
This was an interesting story of where I tried to be smart. I wanted this basketball coach who was coaching my son to give me free classes in exchange for helping him out with his website. And he told me, well, I also design websites. And I'm like, okay, I told him my stack. And he's like, what is PHP? I've never heard of that before. I was like, okay, so how do you design websites if you don't even know basic stacks? Turns out he uses some AI tool to design websites. I told him I design websites too from time to time. I didn't really tell him about myself. And I was like, okay, there's one website I'm working on currently. It's called hello.cv. And then he came back 5 minutes later with an ad for hello.cv. Well done, using AI. And I say, how do you get all these things done? Like, you don't even know anything about tech. And he shows me this tool that does everything under the sun, from registering domains to building websites to building ads to writing content, all for $59 per month in one package. And he pays for that and he uses that. And it just kind of was a moment of humility for me. You know, we use ChatGPT, Perplexity, we know all these billion-dollar funded tools, right? And there's these guys, under the hood who are using these interesting tools. Bad UX, but does a really great job. So that's it.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to unpack there. Everyone just around like even product market fit, because we in our bubble might be like, oh yeah, we know all the stuff, we know their product is, but people are building for certain kind of people, and they are getting really good traction and stickiness to those kind of users. And yeah, I think WhatsApp will be perhaps the most popular one that we can think of, but yeah, there are many other tools like that. How about you, Sonia? Recent delightful product that you actually like, oh wow, this is actually amazing, this is actually was well crafted, this was actually well built?
Yeah, so let me start with the non-African one. So I've been getting into paddles. I've been I just downloaded Playtomic, and I was actually against downloading it for the longest time, but when I did, actually it had a pretty seamless experience, and I think it was simple, but again, could create community. as well. So I think that.
Okay.
And in terms of African product, okay, I'm in Kenya, so M-Pesa is used everywhere, and right now they're really trying to push out the QR codes. So if you've ever been to Kenya, before you had to put the pay bill number, the till number, but now you can just like scan the QR code and pay, and now it even connects to your biometrics. So that was pretty seamless. Like I just did my grocery shopping, and that was pretty seamless too. So yeah, huge fan of M-Pesa still.
Yeah, who would have thought that M-Pesa is still innovating and is thinking like, how can we make this even like better, stickier, like more. Yeah, you spotted on the whole typing of numbers in, like if you just like cut that away from scan, show your face, put your thumb, go like that saves a lot of time. And so yeah, thanks for sharing, guys. So let's jump into it. I know again, I don't want to assume everybody knows you on the call, so if they ask to help set the stage here. Yeah, maybe again just a quick introduction. Up where, like, how would you introduce yourself in I don't know, 3 sentences as a product builder? I know you have many hats, but as a product person,
yeah. Thank you very much, Nubi. I would call myself someone who loves technology at heart and tries to see how technology can impact on millions of people. And that's how I think about product. I think technology should be useful, right? So I care a lot about useful technology, and I find it in the very simplest cases, like AI Genius Club that I just shared, and to of course, deep tech. Talking about whether you're talking bio, you're talking blockchain, or you're talking AI for markets like Africa.
How about you, Sonia? Maybe I would like maybe shape exactly like you're building a company now. Like I said, there is the product, but there's other things involved as well. Like how did you even like find yourself on this part of being a product person, like someone that like is building a venture product as well? Like, yeah, how did that come? How did that happen?
Yeah, I think especially when you're getting from like 0 to 1 as a company, as a startup. When you just have an idea and you're trying to push out there, I think as the founder, you need to wear the product hat and get your hands dirty. And I came from like so before this, I did some stints in like data analytics. I was a scientist for a bit, so like that data driven thing was still inside me. And what I liked about products was, this is my assumption, this is what the product is going to do, and now what is the data telling me? Like creating that loop really, I found that very fascinating. And I think that's how I got started. And now, yes, like we have built a pretty complex network of products, but in the end, our business is basically like making sure transactions are seamless. Like your booking is done in 3 to 4 steps. That's in the end goal is that. So that's what we are moving towards. So even now, like with the new products we have, I am pretty hands-on with how we get to like 3, 4, 10 clients before I hand it off to like a product manager. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, again, data and that data feedback loop. Like is this? I've designed something, I've put it on customers. Is it working? I mean, trust me. I mean, I work at Paystack, and I'm so shocked as how people use products way differently than it was designed or intended to work. I'm like, how did you even think to use it this way? And so if you are not tracking, you're like, oh yeah, I've shipped it, it's done. Like people will use it the way I want them to use it. But no, like, yeah, again, that feedback loop is quite key. Let's talk about product market fit here, because this is one of the most used terms, especially for early stage startups, or just again, as you start up your venture building stage. Like, okay, yeah, experiment and then find product market fits. Some will say, oh, that is a never-ending journey. Like you get it and then you lose it, and you can lose it, and all of that. Other people are like, how do you actually know that you have it? Like, it's like, well, am I checking? Is there like some things I could actually see and say, okay, yes, I have it? And I'm curious for you guys, because you built different kind of businesses, and also we can start with you, where Jobberman, for example. I mean, I think we would all say yes, there's product market fit there. But I'm curious as to, like, in the early days, like, how did you know? Because you had an idea, you thought about a problem, a solution, and then it manifested as a product. you had users, but how did you know you had gotten product market fit? And is there a way to actually, is there a way to codify that to actually say check for X, Y, Z and you have it, check for A, B, C and you don't have it? Like, curious.
Yeah, thank you very much. To be fair, I mean, this is the part where I it's like a confessional for me. I've kind of always cheated that PMF cycle early in my career, where I kind of touched on products that were, I mean, once you know what it's doing, you know that okay, there's a large market for this, right?
So what a job.
Exactly. Jobberman, Google host. So essentially, we didn't really think too much about PMF in terms of like the core idea itself. You know, they pretty much found product market fit soon as you could get the word out. So much time was spent on distribution, right, and on UX. UX, not UI, UX more like what does the experience look like, right, for the large user base. And we're trying to capture all types of users without focusing on a niche. But I'll fast forward that to my most recent experience of building with HelloCV and also, of course, as a principal at Fast Forward Venture Studios supporting other companies. So fast forward to 2024, 2025, we're in a much more complex market. There's a lot of distractions out there for users, right? You're better much focused on a niche, right, and kicking out from there before going full expansion. And I've seen product market fit, you know, being more useful than ever. And this is what I define by finding product market fit. It's that point when you have a certain set of users, right, who cannot do without your product, right? And they're clear on why they use your product and nobody else's product, right? And then you can keep expanding from there. You know, and it's that's like good. That's when your business becomes a healthy business. For example, with HelloCV, we've seen us gain product market fit and also lose it in months, right? Just based on, you know, focusing on one core segment, you know, and as you try to expand beyond that segment, you realize that you know, the narrative, the messaging, the flow needs to change for it to kind of expand that segment. So yes, I truly believe in the fact that you can gain product market fit and also lose it, and it has to evolve. And I've experienced that.
Yeah, but that's really good to know that. Okay, perhaps the mental question is like, if I take this product away, how will my customer feel? And I have heard founders who will say things like, if I increase my price, will they still stay? And so we see people like for people that you've really gotten a fit with, they might complain like, why? But okay, like I'll pay for it. The value is there. For those that would actually drop off it, like churn immediately, you stop giving discounts and you stop giving freebies. And you know, like, they really didn't come for the product. They came just because it was free to use or it was cheap to use. I'm curious for you, Sonia. Like how, like again, perhaps at BuuPass particularly, how did you actually think about? Did you even think about product market fit in the early days? Did you go chasing it? How did you know you had gotten it? Do you still think you have it?
Yeah, I've been reflecting on that, and I feel like you know, a market can be so big. So maybe we have like fit in certain segments, but not like the whole, you know, intercity bus transport market. So like for background, BuuPass is, you know, building a two-sided marketplace where we have customers where we aggregate different transport companies and travel. And then also for the transport operators who use pen and paper, we give them tools to digitize their back office. So I think when we started, we were majorly focusing on like B2C, where, you know, instead of somebody going all the way to the booking office, they can book on our website or on our USSD code. So when we were trying to like search for product market fit, we also asked ourselves like, what channel would be the most accessible for our customers? So I think it was very enticing to build like a really nice app, but we started with like a simple USSD process, and that was one of our first products that really got like
stickiness,
got sticky, and to a point where when there was the train launched in Kenya, one of our customers tweeted that, you know, why don't you partner with BuuPass to like do train ticketing? And actually then we were partnered with Safaricom to do that for Kenya Railways. So I think we got that loyal customer base, and there was definitely, we were seeing like word of mouth as well, without having a referral program, quite a lot of word of mouth. But then we also saw that if we really want to bring more value to our end customers, we need to have more options, not just like maybe a few bus companies or one train company. But then the bigger issue was with the bus company, where most of them were using pen and paper for their ticketing. They were having cash leakages, no business data. And building product market fit there was different because it was more of a B2B side now. So we had to sit down with these bus companies, understand what their issues were. And it was not really bringing them more sales, because these are very cash rich businesses. It was, can I help you reduce your cash leakages and streamline your operations so that your margins increase? So then that's how we started developing the product. And right now, I think one of the markers of product, I would say market fit for that segment, is that if we have a downtime, even for like 15-20 minutes, our WhatsApps like start blowing up like the operator. I have so many people standing in line, like, are you guys serious? You need to come back online. So I think they're pretty dependent on our product now. And
That's awesome. So I mean, if you think to unpack on what you and thank you so much for sharing these experiences. I think number one, like you mentioned, is that it's a pull, not a push. So the market is pulling you and saying, wait, I've experienced this with buses. Can you just get this on the train? So there's that pull of like, I want this as well in this experience with other and then you said you also said talk about like, again, like just that verbal organic referral program, which is not designed or gamified as well. Like, it's just, again, people like it, they talk about it, other people use it, and it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And I also like your point around, again, just being very clear as to what your customer, what you're solving for them. But when you have like multi customers, again, like a marketplace where you have your USSD, so that again you could easily book your ticket. But for the guys that it's not really about like, let me help you accept payment. It's more like, again, like margins and operations streamlining. So really knowing what the pain points are and really, again, designing for that. And yes, of course, having ways to track, again, and that's why I always say, like, again, support, like, so it supports function within an organization is a very good place to see if you have product market fit as well. Like, you just go through support cases and like people actually like really like, oh, any downtime is really like adverse for my business. I think that you'll be onto something there. All right, thanks for sharing all of that. Just talking about, again, business model, because again on the call here we have people that are building B2B, B2C marketplaces as well. I'm curious if, again, based on your experience, I know Jobberman, I would say, is a kind of like a marketplace type thing, platform, job seekers, and employers, managing all of that experience. HoaQ is more like just again B2, a consumer coming to buy something. And then, of course, .tv is similar to HoaQ. And also, I'm just curious, again, between those and perhaps other vendors you work with, like, how would you, is there any difference in how we should, is there different how one should go about thinking about product market fit, or is it the same underlying philosophy that applies regardless of business models? Are there like nuances that one should keep in mind? And also, even like, maybe we can talk about like even like stage. So, for example, like PMF for a pre-revenue startup, or early stage, very early stage, to what are like fundraised already and looking doing like paid acquisition as well. Like, any nuances between those business models and stages of a startup?
Yeah, I can break that down. I'll use same rubrics that you use, right? Like channels, as well as business models, B2B versus B2C, or say B2B2C. For B2B, product market fit is difficult to really understand, especially if it's a product that others are offering. In the B2B space, there's a huge part that sales plays, right? In where sometimes it's not necessarily the best product, but it's the one who provides the product first and who could sell it, right pricing, right support.
Like first thing, like you're
exactly,
you're locked in, you can't switch it, you can't switch it.
And then if the product is such that it's built very well, such that you can lock in, and the lock-in effect starts to benefit you, and then you start to become the verb in town, right? Everybody just like, okay, just use Zapier, and every other person, even though they might be better, has to struggle, like I know you use that as an example. We're finding that also like in the AI world with anything, everybody just say anything, like, so who else is next, so you have those kind of opportunities, right? But essentially that's still product market fit at the end of the day, where you get some sort of defensibility, right? And customers are just kind of locked in to you and don't want to use anything else, even though there might be better options. Calendly is also a very, very classic example of where it's kind of become the verb, right? In that space where even though Google's got a free option, you have cow.com, you're just like, it's Calendly, and then Calendly, but I think it's harder to reach in B2B than it is in B2C, right? Because also B2B is large budgets, so meaning customers who can be price conscious or can just shift one day and move to another player and migrate, even though is it difficult to move? Probably not. It takes time, but if once they decide to move, they can move easily, might be harder to reach, but once you reach it, it sticks fast better than than B2C. In terms of channels, I don't think there's one channel that works best. It's also something that's been interesting over the last 5 years in Africa, where we can talk about PMF from the context of customers love it and they just stay. But then you've seen some really interesting products that have actually used paid acquisition channels, right? Especially in fintech, to get customers to stick. But I guess that also has a lot to do with the attention economy, where you just need to eat some critical mass before everybody accepts that this is it, for some of us that are like very big on PLG, it's a hard one for us to swallow, that you actually sometimes just have to product-led growth. Okay. Right, where you just have to spend your way through, like you just don't have an option. You have to spend your way, referrals and all of that through. If you don't do that, no matter how good your product is, you're just not eating that critical mass, to get users to want to stay. And being able to kind of understand that magic number. A founder that I know that does that very well is Ridwan of Lemfi. The way it broke, like I was like, oh dude, you spend it so much on referrals, but the way he broke it down, I was like, okay, this guy knows exactly the magic number of how much I need to spend to get the customer to stay. So they're not afraid to spend it, and everybody else that has not done their own analytics well might try to copy, and stop because they're like, oh, we're spending so much, let's stop, but he has a good grasp on why they need to spend that, because
sorry to jump because I really want to make this useful for people. Like, so how does one learn that? Like, there's those schools that will teach you how much you spend to hit critical mass. So how does one figure that out? Is that like I don't know, just curious.
It's pretty much a lot of dwelling on analytics, right, for your number. So again, you have your cohorts. Okay, we saw this result. We saw the customers that stayed. We saw their behaving. Like now, for example, at hello.tv today, ours is not a spend issue, but it's more of a messaging issue, where we have people coming for different reasons. Some come for the career reasons. Some want the .cv, and just like yourself, some people are buying it for the next generation. And there's also a very, very interesting and super rich audience that buy for the vanity of it. Like, they just buy domains. They've always bought domains. You find people buying 1-letter domains for $10,000, and they'll buy 2. Like, what are you going to use it for? Like, I need it. I want to keep it, So you start to worry, like, what exactly am I serving? And when you start looking at those cohorts, the behavior, it starts to tell you a lot about, okay, maybe we need to change something in onboarding, where you have to clarify why a user is here, so that way you can be able to measure them, separately. Some people don't know the meaning of those kind of screens. Like, you're like, okay, why am I asking them if I'm not going to change the functionality? No, you might not change the functionality, but it helps you to really understand a behavior of a user vis-a-vis why they came there. So once you're able to look at that data, and whatever your nostalgia metric, whether it's revenue, whether it's when they click a domain, whether it's repeats purchases, whether it's daily DAUs you are measuring, you are able to track that to what's working. And if you have to optimize UX flows for that particular quote, you optimize and then you keep testing. And once you realize this is what is working, you just double down.
Okay. I mean, I see Sonia nodding her head here, so I was curious. I mean, I have like flashbacks to how they were optimizing some things on the BuuPass workflow. Feel free to chip in, but if you want to also, I'm just curious to like the place of customer interviews in shaping this, because I mean, I'm talking about like an analytics, just like watch, learn the data, try different things, and then double down to see what works. But where is the place of just that, like, does that genuine, like, talk to me, like, let me know? Is that really something that people should be doing? Like, is that old school? Are we, like, again, is data like more interesting than actually saying, let me know what's wrong. Tell me what's happy and what's sad about this application. I'm curious. Yeah, Sonia.
Yeah, I think there's definitely space for customer interviews still. So even now, every few months we call in our customers, the ones who have only booked with us once, had a bad experience, but also the ones who have been loyal and have, focus groups as well. That's on the B2C side. And I think there's sometimes you can get certain insights that you might not get from your data. So I mean, we try to track as much as possible. We have, the data layer. We use different CRM analytics to see how our funnel is. But sometimes there are like certain things that the customer says, like, oh, maybe if you had a filter here, like on the left instead of the right, it might have been, it's just much better for me on this phone. So I think you're able to unlock some unique insights from customer interviews, and also I think understand, especially from the customers, if they agree, like the ones who did not have a good experience, on how, what would make them come back. I think that's also very valuable too. And with our bus companies, actually, we, these operators don't like fill out electronic surveys or emails are not like, it's, you have to go there and talk to them. You have to go to the agents and talk to them. So that's a continuous loop. Like, I think and what we try to do is like, it's not like, oh, I'm here to, talk about the product. It's more of like relationship building, where you then like tease out the product issues from them. And, eventually you also like unlock, like one of them, now wanted an integration with like the Kenyan tax system. And now that's become like a huge selling point for us, for other huge transport operators too, because it's been like all digitized. So I would say early on, it's very important, but even as you like mature as a product, it's something that you should have in your product discipline.
Yeah. And I mean, where you currently, like, I mean, you've raised, but you also back in startups as well. And with the funding slowdown and all of that, I think, or perhaps maybe not slowdown, but a return to common sense on deploying capital and building venture-backed startups. I wondered, do you have any just thoughts as to like, in today's world, like what would be, or how can founders think about efficient or capital efficient ways of seeking PMF? How do I seek PMF without burning too much cash? Because again, yes, I could do experiment on Google and I'm paying for this software amplitude or that and all, and I'm paying in dollars. I'm burning my burn is high and everything. I'm trying to figure things out. How would you think about, again, I'm gonna say even hacks, but just again, how can a founder think about chasing PMF in a cost-efficient way? At least that will make you happy, or not too sad about when you see their investor updates and how much they have left in their bank.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, this is the part where, because it's 2025, we cannot but also talk about AI, right? And essentially, founders we were a bit spoiled. Thankfully, I'm a founder. I'm also an investor, so I can say we were, and be a founder, where the founder at when I'm talking about things like that. So nobody feels like I'm criticizing the other side. So we're a bit spoiled, and everybody felt like if they don't have funding, they can build and whatnot, and VCs that would keep shouting capital efficiency were ignored for a while, but that has changed now, now pretty much every investor expects a founder to either have achieved PMF or has some really strong understanding about their customer. So they want to see some customer obsession, right? Which shows that they know their data to the core and get a sense of, okay, this company is going to make it, even though they probably don't have PMF yet, right? Or they're building some really amazing technology that you just need to kind of sink a lot of capital into. Even though, except you are building like AI models or some infrastructural stuff that doesn't really exist anymore. Thankfully, it's easier to code today than ever. So they expect like you could try a lot of things out, which also changes a lot about what they make. I mean, well, we've always known that make of a founding team should like have engineers, but it wasn't like necessarily compulsory. And I would say today, maybe still not have engineers, but like have a strong engineering mindset, because with a strong engineering mindset or analytical mindset that you can really try out and experiment things and still know that, okay, if things are not working, might be just one thing that I need to change in the way we're doing it today, that would make it work. And it might be business model, might be price, might be who you sell to, might be what you prioritize, is building new features or marketing, right? And might be just even pivoting entirely, taking one learning from everything you know so far and doing something else that's very different, right? And founders that get that win, and investors like those founders, and they go towards those founders. And I've also seen that behavior where VCs quickly learn from what the market is doing in fintech. Now in AI, I mean, back then the word in fintech was everybody and their dog wanted to build a cross-border solution, right? Including yours truly, right? Now it's everybody and their dog is trying to build something in AI, so like in the AI space, it's more like, there's 1,000 of you trying to build it, so there's no way of knowing who's going to win except you're actually already winning, so so that's why the PMF piece really just comes in. Everybody expects you to kind of have it already. Like, let's see your number, let's see how your users are growing, let's see what they're doing, right? Whether they're repeating, how that ties into your revenue model, and let's see that it's working. There's another reason why we're having much of that in AI to do is the fact that nobody also knows when you can when defensibility get eroded. For most of these models, we've seen that the LLM layer, we've also seen that the application layer as well.
I have one last question, and I know we had two other questions, but I'm very sure we covered it during the discussion. So the first question was around like, how do I've got to product market fit? So again, check again. Would you just want to use this? How would they feel when you pull this off? Sometimes, how do they? Would they pay more for it? I'm just again just like kind of like signals you could use. It's a pull versus a push. And that is the second question was around again, how do you chase after PMF with limited resources, which again we just touched on around it being capital constraints. So just perhaps just last questions for you guys as we round off is so just what is one thing you just leave people with who are still very much stuck in the chase, in the pursuit of our dearly beloved PMF, and we just do next. So like leaving this talk today, they end the call, they open their laptops, or again, like what can be that next step that they can actually do that would help them even move in directionally towards attaining PMF. What we want advice that you can leave with them. We'll start with your point, and then we end with Sonia.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I would be the AI evangelist that I try to be these days and say, except you are building something in fintech where you're keeping people's money and people just love what you do and the way you do it, they don't care. They don't even want anything to change as long as the money lands where it's supposed to land, right? Or the money is saved where it's supposed to save. AI can help you reach PMF faster. In any business you go, and if you already achieved PMF and you think you're on the edge of losing it, AI can help you regain that PMF. And when I talk about AI, it's not necessarily that you have to have like that ChatGPT feel. It might be how you use AI at the back end of things. I used to suggest things. I used to predict content. I used to personalize in such a way that just makes your product more delightful and makes it much easier for the user, that they can never ever think of moving, right? Because it just does the job well. One of the things I'm also seeing about AI that is scary, and which interestingly, maybe that's what I learned from AI Genius Club that I shared the other time, is there are new interesting business models of how you handle referrals. I mean, the basketball coach legit told me that I cannot use ChatGPT. And it made me look like a fool for using ChatGPT. It's like the things I can do with this tool, you probably have to use like 10 tools to do it, and you don't get paid. Me, I use this one, I pay $59, and if I refer somebody, next month can be free for me. I'm like, okay, you're not wrong, right? For all my degrees, like I'm learning something here, you know. And AI is align such kind of, you know, business models, right, to thrive today. So a lot of things are going to change in this space. So if you're just building something new, lean into AI. The models are cheap. The capability and the know-how of building is getting better. Don't get scared. Don't overthink it. Don't think, oh, my people are not going to, I'm not asking for AI. Nobody asks for AI. Nobody asks for ChatGPT, right? Nobody asks for these things. But when we see the delights, it's like, you know, just asking for something, expecting to take 10 minutes and it takes 1 minute. Everybody's delighted at that, right? You know, and that's what AI can do, right? And it's cheap these days. So I'll leave you guys with that.
Yeah, makes sense. So, I mean, find a way to elevate the experience, find a way to, again, enjoy that productivity and value, whether it's in the back or in the front. But again, elevating and being able to have a delightful experience is one way to at least attain or to go towards product market fit. And you're not wrong. It's possible that I mean, like you said it there, like the UI might not be the best in the world, but the experience is great. Like, yeah, I'm sticking to it versus the best UI, and I'm just like, yeah, this doesn't work. So yes, definitely agree with that. About you, Sonia? What advice would you give builders trying to chase after AI? Not AI, sorry, PMF.
PMF, yeah. So I think, I mean, I think I would look at like what's frustrating the users right now. So like what's frustrating did we lose Nubi?
Seems so.
Yeah. Well, I think I'll still
Yeah.
continue. Nubi's back. Okay. Yeah. So I was saying that, you know, looking at what's frustrating people is either the status quo or what's already out there in the market. So, you know, I've done like deep dives on Reddit, or like bus operators that have gotten like 1-star reviews, or already you know, products already out there, and then finding out like what's our competitive edge there, because sometimes you might not have a very scrappy MVP, but something that's like, as you said, like delighting the users. And also finding your first, you know, 100 or 1,000 fans of the product, and like really being close to them and using them as almost like consultants to help you like build your product further, would be other one. But I don't think like PMF is like a one like destination you reach. It's like a state you need to keep on like being good at. It's like being fit, right? Like you need to go to the gym, eat well, like you need to keep on like listening to the users, listening to the market, and making sure like your product is relevant at that state and time, and giving that customers the experience that they deserve. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I think it's one has to be, and it's kind of like contrarian in a way, like you have to choose to slow down almost like, and get to really understand users and adopters and seeing what is ticking, looking at
Yeah.
the data, setting up their analytics, like doing all of those things. And like question around Lemfi, you see something like, okay, this is it. Now I can go, and while you're doing that, you're not distracted by all the noise and chatter around, because you just know that this is it. Like it kind of like helps that focus and that laser understanding really helps one go after things than going very broad very early. And then, like you said, you don't know if are these just the elite users, are these the guys that are here for the freebies, are these guys really using me, are they actually like bad actors trying to just game my system? Like it's just trying to like again walk through that chatter. And I think again being laser focused does help. All right, thank you so much, Ope. Thank you, Sonia, for sharing. I know we could go on for another hour, but I'm going to just pass this on back to Folake to run us through key updates on the HoaQ side, and we'll close for the evening. Thanks everyone, and cheers.
Thank you so much. Just before we go, just to let people that are in the room to ask any questions, Sonia and Ope, do you guys mind just taking, say, 2 questions from the audience? Is that okay? Okay,
we'll
great.
go with
Thank you
Adeyinka,
so much,
Adeyinka
Millie.
and Abdurrahman. Adeyinka, you want to go?
Hi everyone, good day. I'm happy to be joining today. I feel like the last time I joined the AMA session, there are not so much people, but it feels great to be here. I've learned so much. I've learned a lot. As an ex-startup founder.
Sorry, please, can you just ask the
Sorry,
question?
straight to
Everyone
the
has time.
question.
You have a question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
what's your question?
if you can go straight to the question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, this is why I don't do live questions. Abdurrahman, you want to ask a question?
All right. Thank you very much. I think I have 2 questions if time is, okay. So my question is, before a founder should be like, before thinking of raising money for maybe the startup or something. So what stage should that startup be? Should it be in ideation stage or maybe with traction? That's my first question. And at the same time, my second question will be, if you're thinking your idea is maybe could be a feature for another company, let's say, for example, you are thinking of maybe a solution to one problem, for example, and you are also looking at it from the perspective that if another company, maybe a bigger company like Fang, gets that idea, they can use it as, just a feature for their company. So how should a founder, address such a problem?
Anyone wants to take that? I'm not sure I get the question, but yeah.
I
Should
didn't
I
quite
come
get the
again?
second question as well. I mean, the first one is frankly is up to you. That would be my answer. Some people can raise money off a deck. What do I mean? Of just talking to somebody without even having a deck. Like, oh, I have this idea, and some people can't because they don't have the pedigree. They've not done it or such before. They don't have the technical chops or technical pedigree as well to show that they can do something fantastic in that space. In which case, you have to show it. Essentially, you have to show something that makes people believe that you're worth the money. Is it that you can show a pre-product or show a post-product? So, so it's all still goes back to you. Who are you, right? And where do you fit in there? And be very objective about who you are. If you've not done this before, you're not a Nobel Prize winner or some technical genius that's known for something in a particular space, or an operator who's worked in a particular space. You had better show us your workings first.
All right. So yeah, any thoughts to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, the more validation you have in the market, like either, number of users or even revenue, the more likely you are to raise funding. So there's that too. So my advice would be like, try to get as much validation from the market as possible before you go out and raise, especially in the current, market. And I think the second question was like, what if your product can be a feature for like another big company? Like, how do you compete in a market like that. And honestly, I think that's where building your loyal customer base is important. So like, and building your moat. So, for us, more than the tech, because I think what we have built has been done in other markets, right? Like it's done probably in Asia and other markets. What our relationships are also an important part of, how we build our moat. So the integrations we have with the transport companies, how we give them a great product that's like for the context of our market, is how we kind of like protect our market share. So that when, for example, in Kenya now, within the M-Pesa app, you can buy a bus ticket. M-Pesa could not have built it without like consuming our APIs. So trying to understand like what can I do to like protect my market so that other big player doesn't kill me is important.
Yeah. Sorry, we'll have to really put a pin there. If there are any questions, we can take them offline. You can send them at hello@hoaq.co, and we'll be sure to get answers from any of the speakers. But yeah, I'll pass it on to Folake to round us off for the evening. Thank you again, guys. And thanks, Opeyemi and Sonia.
Thank you so much, Nubi. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Opeyemi, for sharing your knowledge with us today. Just quickly to run us through the HoaQ update. Next slide. For those of you who are our community members, angel investors in the HoaQ community, we currently have 3 deals up, and we have Kunda Kids, which is a follow-on deal. This would be our 3rd investment with Kunda Kids. So if you are a member, you can just go on your dashboard to view all the details of the deal. That's the memo, the Meet the Founder session recordings, and also all the links that explains what they are doing. Same for Tech 1M and Zazu in South Africa. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. We currently have just closed our second real estate investment in Nairobi. So for those of you that don't know, we run another investment community that is focused on real estate, and it's called Diaspora House, and we just closed our second investment in Nairobi. The first one is already live on Airbnb, and the second one will be live by the end of this week. We're also looking at other properties across Africa as well. So if you want to learn more about Diaspora House, you can just send us an email or check the chat, where we would be sharing all the links that point you to what we are doing at Diaspora House. Next slide, please. Okay, London, we are coming to you. London and Paris, actually, we're coming to you. Last year, we hosted over 200 people in London and also about over 100 people in Paris. And we'll be doing that again this year. So if you're in London for African Tech Summit, London Tech Week, just be sure to look out for us on social media so that you can register for our event. This is one of the biggest parties and mixer that is happening in London during that period, and I promise you don't want to miss it. Same for Paris as well. We are having an event in Paris during the Viva Tech 2025. So if you're around, feel free to register and come and meet founders, funders, and stakeholders as well. Next slide, please. Yes. HoaQ also has a fund. HoaQ Fund is a $5 million fund with an aim to invest in founders who are building tech and tech-enabled startups for Africa and its diaspora. If you're interested in being a limited partner in our fund, just go to our website and you see all the details. The fund is managed by Yewande Odumosu. So if you're interested, you can also shoot her an email at yewande@hoaq.co as well to learn more about what we're doing with the fund. Next slide. Thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this session, feel free to, shout out to us on socials, on LinkedIn, follow us on YouTube, TikTok, anywhere you